Hello students. In today's video, I'll be giving you some points regarding the critical appreciation of the poem The Wild Swans at Coole. The poem The Wild Swans at Coole opens up with the description of a beautiful woodland in the autumn. One can imagine the gorgeous colors of the leaves before they fall and see the twilight reflecting off the water, where there are 59 swans swimming. It is interesting that the speaker has focused on the swans enough to count all 59 of them. He is clearly intently studying them. The way the speaker describes the beauty has a calming effect on the readers. This place called Coole is a place of serenity and quietness. With the second stanza, the tone shifts to one of melancholy and nostalgia and remembrance. The speaker says that it has been 19 years since his first visit to Coole, when he first counted the swans on that lake. It is not clear whether the speaker is saying that he has been coming to that place for 19 years or whether it has been 19 years since he started keeping a record of his time which he spent there, or whether it has been 19 years since he started counting the swans. Whatever the case is, the speaker makes it clear that he has been to this place every autumn for many years. Before the speaker even finishes counting these swans, they take off suddenly. He describes their departure as one of wheeling in great broken rings. They appear clamorous to him as they take off in a flutter. With the third stanza, the speaker turns his thoughts inward. After watching the brilliant creatures, he admits that his heart is sore. The reason for his aching heart is that everything has changed so much since he first watched those swans take flight 19 years earlier. It appears in this poem that when he first saw the swans, they did not make his heart sore. But something has changed over the years so that the sight of these swans now brings sadness to his heart. Perhaps it is so because there seems to be such a sharp contrast between the swans and himself. While he is tired, while he is bound to the earth, he is tied down to earth, where there are many cares and worries. The swans, on the contrary, are free to fly. They are worryless into the sky. They fly into the sky and they have no anxieties and worries in their life. In the fourth stanza, the speaker contrasts the swans with himself. He has changed so much, and the swans have not changed at all. They are unwearied still, and they paddle next to the very same lover. He says that their hearts have not grown old, neither has their passion faded. They are still free to wander where they will, where they want to. Again, he implies the contrast between the swans and himself. While the swans have not grown old, the poet has. The awareness of how much he has changed brings sadness to his heart. The speaker also continues to compare the swans with himself. He observes that the swans swim in pairs, each having its own companion. The speaker contrasts this with his own lonely heart. Now, in the concluding stanza, the speaker seems to be afraid that someday they will simply leave him. The swans will leave him alone. He admits that they are mysterious and beautiful creatures, and he does not know what they will do. He does not know whether or not they will always be at the lake in Coole, or whether they will find another lake's edge or pool. He does not know which men's eyes they will delight. Someday he would wake up to find they have all flown away. Since so much has already changed in the speaker's life, The swans are a symbol of stability and permanence, for they are always there and seem never to change. And yet, the speaker has a fear that one day they will take off, never to return to the lake at Coole. At this point, everything will change for the speaker. In this poem, the poet describes the beautiful natural landscape of Coole, the swans which are withering in number, and most of them have flown to the still waters of some other lakes or pools. Their disappearance makes him somewhat gloomy and painful. The poet has seen for 19 years 59 swans, but all of a sudden they have started scattering away, wheeling in great broken rings upon their clamorous wings. He has looked upon those brilliant creatures with joy and pleasure, but now his heart is sore. All has changed since then. The swans remind him of freshness and youth. Even in the cold waters, they go on playing joyfully. Their hearts have not grown old. The poem, besides delineating the natural scene and describing the beauty of the swans, also deals with death and immortality. The swans in this poem fly from the earth to the sky, representing immortality. They unite the time with timeless, temporal with eternal. They are symbolic of life force, unity of transitoriness with permanence, and the poetic inspiration or imagination. The swans are vigorous and powerful, and in the last stanza, the poet calls them mysterious and beautiful too. The poem begins in the tones of ordinary speech, with the 9 and 50 swans adding an accurately judged touch of photographic precision to a landscape which is otherwise carefully symbolic. It is a measure of Yeats's achievement that the language is held so effortlessly at this level, where the interior meaning is achieved without remoteness. The language used in this poem is simple. There is simplicity of thought in this poem. There is personal touch in the poem and subjectivity too. There are onomatopoeic lines, especially when the poet is talking about the clamorous wings. The poem has its own music and melody. It has rhythmic lines and it has pictorial quality too. The rhyme scheme of these stanzas, the 5 stanzas, which are of 6 lines each, differs. The rhyme scheme of the first stanza is A, B, C, B, D, D. Second one is E, F, G, F, H, H. Of the third stanza, the rhyme scheme is I, J, K, J, L, L. Fourth stanza, C, M, N, M, O, O. And the last stanza is C, P, Q, P, R, R. So that's all for the critical appreciation and analysis of the poem The Wild Swans at Coole. It's a simple poem, simple to understand. This poem has a strain of contrast in it, where the temporary nature of human life is compared with the permanence of the swans. The immortality, the sense of mortality and immortality have been compared in this particular poem. And the swans are symbolic of life force. They symbolize permanence. They symbolize immortality. They symbolize youth. They symbolize the timeless nature. So with this, we complete the critical analysis of the poem The Wild Swans at Coole. Thank you.